No topic left uncovered. This is Issues Today. Here is Bob Gorley.
I would guess that parent-child relationships are more difficult than ever because of all of the things that are out there, from social media to peer pressure, a lot of things like that. We're going to talk about how to improve parent-child relationships today with Jason Wilcox, who is a parenting expert and co-author of a book called The Listening Space. Jason, it's good to have you with us today on the program.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. It's great to be here today.
Yeah, in looking at this, I know one of the big things that you talk about is two different things: reactive parenting and motivational parenting. Tell us about both of those and why you like motivational a lot better.
Yeah, so reactive parenting often is kind of like almost putting out fires in the house and dealing with chaos all the time. When something happens, I have a strong reaction to it. So a child's screaming at me, I scream back at him or spank him or tell him to go away, and it's kind of that knee-jerk response. Doesn't get quite the results we're looking for often. It might stop something immediately, but you're running a lot of risks to the relationship. Versus more relational, motivational type of style that you're working with your children. It's more about identifying what's actually going on with the child and engaging with them where they're at and shifting the conversation to move it forward to the results we're looking for. And so it often, when we apply the skills we're talking about, it stops the fighting normally, and it shifts it so that you work with your child and move forward much, much easier.
Yeah, and does this work for all age kids?
We see that it's not quite as effective once you start going about 5 or 6 and under. There's different techniques there where you're trying to establish, rules and structure and systems. But once the child can start communicating, it starts becoming more and more effective from that age up. Now, even into adult children.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's good to know. They need a lot of care and attention, too, it seems like, more than ever. In looking at this, so motivational, are we talking about positive reinforcement as opposed to negative? Is that part of this?
Absolutely. Because what we're looking for is we're trying to identify the strengths and the great things that our children are doing. We're trying to identify their motive to move forward on something, their ideas to move forward. So we're really acknowledging those positives, or what we call affirming them, right? Their specific behaviors, their specific actions that guide them going into what we want to move us towards the results. And so it's a lot of positive affirmation.
Yeah, that works. In that too, are there those situations where, let's say, someone is really going down a bad path where this will not work, or is it 100% effective, would you say?
Well, I mean, it can be bumpy, especially if there's some lack of structure and systems in place in the initial application of what we're talking about. It can be a little bit rocky because the child is going to try to push on the new system and the new way you're working with them. But what we find is normally when parents shift to these skills, you quickly start seeing the child want to collaborate, right? Children aren't normally innately wanting to fight. They're not innately wanting to cause problems or be trouble. They want to collaborate. They want to be exceptional and acknowledged by the parent.
Yeah, that's true. And I would think too in some of the single parent situations, which is an increasingly higher number of families, that this would be very effective as well.
Yeah, that's what we find. We've run into many different situations with parents where screaming and yelling is almost constant in the home, with younger kids to, like I mentioned earlier, adult children. Where one client we were working with, when she came to us, her adult children didn't even want to speak to her at that time, and by the time she applied all these skills, her kids were not only speaking to her, but they wanted her insights and her thoughts, and were inviting them back into their lives.
Wow, yeah, and sometimes those are many, many year damages in relationships, aren't they? They could have gone on for decades in some cases.
Right, right.
And so it's very important to kind of mend that fence. It's sometimes difficult to do that, though, isn't it? After you've had many years of problems with someone, some of the old things come up. Well, he yelled at me, or she yelled at me, or I wasn't really. I was insulted. So you have to get over those feelings, I guess, only as a parent.
Absolutely. If you apply the skills, and there's 5 I'll throw out today, which is kind of applying empathy while exploring, so kind of exploring with empathy. We're watching our fix-its, and we're using 3 specific skills of open-ended questions, affirming like we talked about earlier, and then even using reflective listening where we give information back. And if we're using those skills, normally what we're doing is we're meeting the child where they're at, and they're going to be a lot less reactive, and they're going to be more engaged.
Right, and because they're not defensive, I guess, right?
Absolutely. You're literally discharging the conflict. And we talk a lot about that in our book, The Listening Space, about how when we go toe-to-toe with them, let's say you want the child to mow the yard, and the second they start engaging in the fight, it's no longer about mowing the yard. You might feel like it is as a parent, but the child is actually now in a conflict with you, so it's actually about the relationship. And so the focus is gone. But if we shift it into using some of these skills, we can keep the focus on the lawnmower, and the conflict dissolves.
So let's kind of give us. You're giving us an example. Kind of talk us through that. So let's say, I don't want to mow. What do you say in that situation?
Then normally we would shift to more of a curious stance. What's going on? What makes it so you don't want to mow the yard? We would explore, see where they're coming from. Maybe there's some reasons. And if we can have empathy for those reasons, we're more likely to engage in with them in a positive way.
Well, Jason Wilcox, very good to talk to you. I think very excellent information for parents, and particularly those with the preteens and teens, that age group. Again, the book is called The Listening Space.
Hi,